come to save the day.
All right, I'm here with Sean. He's a designer at Telltale, one of the guys behind the new Walking Dead video game. He's here to tell us a little bit about it. Zombie games are nothing new. There's actually quite a bit of them. What did you guys decide to do with this game that would help it stand out from the rest of the crowd?
Well, I mean, right out of the gate, it's set in the world of The Walking Dead, which says, like, okay, zombies came, there was a lot of gunfire, it was all really bad, but now we're just people trying to get by. And that in itself, I feel like, is like something that isn't really done, and something that it fits really nicely with a Telltale game, just about, okay, it's about these people now. It's not about the dead people. It's not about the zombies even that much. It's just about, like, people trying to hold on to the last thread of humanity. Like, somebody early on in development said, like, it's so funny because zombies in this world really aren't the antagonists. They're kind of like the weather. Like, sometimes the weather can kill you,
right.
you know? And, like,
right.
I thought that was a really good analogy. And that's right out of the gate makes it feel completely different. So the game's really about, it's about the characters. It's about, like, solving their problems and your own problems and where those two cross. And it's also actually about choice, which is kind of a new thing for Telltale. It's about, you're going to make choices that aren't necessarily like binary black and white. You're trying to say, well, which of these evils do I want to choose? Which one of these bad things do I want to have to accept into my life? And then how am I going to carry that forward in the story, through dialogue and through other character actions? So, and then that stuff is going to persist over the course of the season for you as a player, which is really exciting for us.
Can you talk about some of the similarities and differences between your game and both the book and the TV show?
Yeah, for sure. Our game is definitely, like, I have, like, the compendium and then, like, all the trades and then all the issues under, like, in one giant pile on my desk. So that's really the Bible for us. Like, our game is about a new character created by us at Telltale who is kind of living. It starts in Atlanta, so he's kind of in the same sort of, like, airspace as everybody in the comics and the show. Yeah. And then intertwines with Glenn, for instance, from the comics and the show, and then some characters who are just from the comics thus far. So the story is very different from things you would find in the again, the comics and the show. But you know, the world of the comics is what really informs the world of the game. Like, that is our canon, that is our Bible. So, like, you can kind of think that, like, if the comic is sort of like the nucleus, then, like, the show is here, and, like, our game's kind of jutted off in its own little orbit over here. But they have this, like, shared core that if you're a fan of anything, if you saw one episode of the show, then there's going to be something in the game for you. And if you're a hardcore comic fan, like, there are going to be characters that pop up that are going to surprise you.
Tons of Easter eggs for the fans.
It's not even so much Easter eggs. It's just sort of like, wow, this is the character that you, like, if you're a reader, you're going to be like, wow, like, that's the character who's now a main character in your game. Like,
okay, yeah.
We have a character who's in, like, a few frames of the comic book, but has a very, like, impactful moment in the comic story. We're like, well, she should be a main character in our game, and she is. So when you get to that frame, having played the game, you get to that frame in the book, you're like, oh man, you bring to it so much more baggage having played the game, which is really exciting for us. And it's a character that I just personally thought was really interesting. I was like, well, why would that person do that? Yeah. Let's go explore that and sit around and figure that out on our own. It was really fun.
The game has a very distinctive visual style that's not like what you would expect from, you know, some other games that are out there. Can you talk about what went into kind of the stylized art and of the game, and how you kind of came to work on that? Yeah,
I mean, just on the most global level, it was like, when you look at this game, it needs to feel like the world of The Walking Dead. And that is, like, there are just things that, like, Charlie Adler has done and Tony Moore does in the covers and the early issues that just, you just feel those characters from just, like, a line weight side, from just the way he, like, will draw an expression close or draw far away. Like, those are all things that kind of went into, like, okay, what do our characters look like? What do our environments look like? Like, we just have a wall of just environments from the comic books that our guys look at. And then we knew we were going to have to bring it, you know, obviously into a game. So, like, how are we going to, like, what colors were we going to give it, you know, and, like, what level of saturation was this going to have, are all things that, like, we talk about on the daily, like, from an art direction side. But once we started seeing concept art out of our guys, a couple guys named Gray Rogers and Jesse McCabe, who were just amazing dudes, just ridiculous. Once we started seeing this art that felt like The Walking Dead, but was clearly something a little new. Like, I mean, like, this poster behind me is, that's Jesse. He did that. And it was there's an orange version out there somewhere that is awesome. But once we started seeing that, we're like, okay, can we make our game look like this? And then it turns out like we have a stealth team of badasses at Telltale who can, and like
Nice.
just the environment team is just super good.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how many episodes are in the series, the original or the the initial run? Do you have like 4 planned, or is it 6? Or?
Right now we have 5 on paper.
Okay.
We have earlier episodes are both on paper and in ones and zeros now.
Yeah.
But like right now we have 5 on paper. But at the same time, like, Kirkman's always talked about how like The Walking Dead doesn't really have an end. So like that's the way the game should feel. Like you should feel satisfied at the end and be like, okay, that was a complete story. But it's not like everybody like, the last like a boot comes down to the last zombie skull and says, well, now we're done. That's not gonna happen.
So when can we expect to start playing it? Do you guys have a release date yet, or
Soon?
Soon. Good answer.
Soon.
That is appropriately vague.
I can't. I was trying to think. I was going to say like before something. It would be a joke, but the game has sucked all jokes out of me because it's just we've dealt with like we write stuff that makes you so sad all the time, but like you kind of come around on it and then you start laughing about horrible things that are happening. So people can't even sit down in the writers' room anymore. But at Telltale we're so used to having to be able to like tell a joke on the fly, and then not being able to do that, both in the game and in an interview,
real life, yeah.
is disheartening to say the least.
Well, that's all right. Thanks a lot for taking the time to
Awesome.
talk to us. Look
Thank
forward
you.
to it.